Hello everybody, Steffi here from The Makers. It's one of those exciting days of the month. It's the first of the month, October, pinch punch first of the month. That's what my children used to play in the car. I think they've grown out of it now. And that always means that our new subscription boxes are now available to be posted out to you and for you to get them as well. So if you're not a subscriber yet, what are you waiting for? I'm going to make this as tasty as I possibly can because I absolutely love them anyway. And of course, this is always the time when we're talking about a few tips and tricks and techniques also, so that you can have the most possible success in making the projects or getting the inspiration that you need. And I'm just going to have to do something very quickly here because I need to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, because otherwise I'll get all these important phone calls that I don't want right now. Right, and somebody's turned my mat around. I'm going to turn this back how it was. Apologies for this, but this is the thing when two of us are working off one workstation. We all have our little quirks and preferences, so I'm just going to do that first. So today I'm going to talk about, first of all, the surprise box, the fairy box, and then the maker's box. The surprise box this month the topic is Woodland Creatures. There you go, Woodland Creatures. And this is how far you will go to see this box, because I'm not allowed to show the contents, because as it says in the name, it is a surprise. But I will have a sneak peek because I haven't actually seen it myself yet. And if you know what our surprise boxes are like, you will know that they're always filled with really exciting fibers. Some of them are brand new that none of our customers have ever had before. No, I can't go open that far. You always get our newsletter in every single box, and you get that in every order anyway. And this month we've got a free tutorial for making a ghost. There will be a live stream to go along with this as well, if you want a bit of extra help, or maybe just have the fun of joining our chitter chatter here on YouTube. And of course we also restream this on Facebook always the same week at 7 p.m. And oh my goodness, so you don't just get fibers. This reminds me, just looking inside, we often put some extra bits and pieces in there as well. And this month it's going to be, wouldn't you like to know? I'm not telling you, but the fibers are very juicy. The presentation is just really lovely. I would love to receive this box. You always get a free sample. This month it's our bleached white Australian merino bat, which works really well for the ghosts. And then you get, there's two separate packs here, there, and another one paper wrapped, and then some really exciting fibers. I'm not even going to go in there because you will have to just get the box yourself to find out what's inside. But what I will do is, because this is just such a such a tease, I will show you what last month's box looked like. So if you have been the September surprise box subscriber, you will know that in the September surprise box it was a seaside stroll, and I will show you. There we go. And one of the exciting things, of course, also is that we have got a new discount club, the sub club, and the bleached white fiber is in the sub club discount. So this is only for subscribers. They get this special discount. So last month looked like this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the slightly smaller overhead camera here, so you can actually open this with me. So this is what our subscription boxes, the surprise subscription boxes, look like. This is September, so you as you can read here, if you love this one, you've had it basically. You just, yeah, you need to buy the October one to get as much delight out of it. And I want to open this very gently because I don't want to destroy it. Come on, open up. There we go. And just, it's like a drum roll, isn't it? So the way that we do this is that you get a little piece of paper. We always explain to you what is in the boxes in terms of the fibers. So in the September box we had sea cell, we had some New Zealand merino, we had a special mix of this lovely mixed silk merino, but you got some really beautiful curls and a light blue. That's another New Zealand merino. There's the brown, the chocolate brown of the New Zealand merino. That's the sisal, beautiful like waves, and then you get a free fiber as well. And then this one you also got an extra little surprise, and that was in here. Those of you who've had the box will know what I'm talking about. You got a little jar with little shells in them, so you can decorate your make. Now the thing about the surprise boxes is that you never get instructions. We just give you ideas, in that we give you the topic, and we talk a little bit about the fibers, but you might find your own purpose for doing this. What we do have every month is we have got a competition for our subscribers, so share with us what you're making, and it's always a different theme. And watch out for this on Every Wanna Maker, which is a Facebook group that obviously is ours, and on there you can find out what you need to do to win yourself a prize. So we always give it a little bit longer, not just the end of the month, because some people only get their boxes right at the end of the month. So you should find out in the next couple of weeks who's been the winner for the September one. And that's basically what the surprise boxes are about. They're getting increasingly more popular because I just think people recognize the value for money that you get in this surprise box. And yeah, it's just very exciting to see what we've come up, and we've planned a lot of the themes forward, and there are some very exciting themes coming up. I think next month, November month, is themed around space, like the space in space, the galaxy kind of space. So I'm just going to have a very quick look who is here today, now that I've started. We've got a few people watching already, and of course Emma is on the other side. Helen is there. Hello, Helen. Fanny is there. Fanny is eating her lunch while watching unboxing. You're clearly not in this country. Laura is here. Diane is there. Hi Maria, this is Emma's mum. Emma is here as the makers. Faith is there. Hello everybody. And then Serena is there, and Rachel. Hi Rachel. I know you probably don't have Daniel with you, but oh, thank you. Yes, so I am feeling much better today. There's a little bit I need to tell you about that as well, because it's got me thinking, and when I start thinking and mulling things over, I always come out with some kind of message that I think needs sharing. And yes, so basically let's go back to what we're doing here, because we've got quite a lot to get through. I want to talk about the wolf. Did you know that in October there are going to be 2 full moons? Isn't that amazing? I wonder if you get to take a photo of your wolf in front of the real full moon. But if you don't worry, because this month's Makers Box, you actually get the backdrop in your box to make this beautiful setting, so you can position your wolf in front of it. And let's have a look what's inside the box. So you might be, as I'm going overhead again, you might be, as many people are now, running towards the postman to get your subscription box, or because they come nicely wrapped in a red bag. If you order other things, you might not get it in this red, very distinct looking bag, but usually the postmen know quite well that if they rock up with a bag like this, they really need to be extra fast to deliver it to you. Just having a drink of water. Our newsletter always tells you what are the new products that we've got coming out. We've got a new range of peg dolls, incidentally. The Father Christmas kit is going to be launched now, so you can put that in your basket and check it out. And then we have got an evening out with Jane Emerson and myself, and the little Robin is just here. I don't want to distract you or myself, because I'm very good at that. Talk about that later. Just to let you know, the Nativity kit is actually what people are winning in the September subscription competition. So when we announce that, that's what will be heading out your way. And then of course, as I said, we've got the ghost on the back, and I just always love it how they get packed up. So I don't know how many of you actually read these newsletters, but by now you have probably worked out that our boxes they're not just randomly picked projects. They actually often convey quite a personal and heartfelt message. And what I've found is that with this whole pandemic going on, unfortunately still going on, we are, I don't know, I'm just going to go a bit bigger because I want to talk to you. We are all, I don't know, this is what's happened to me. I've had a really, really horrible cold, like a really head cold where everything just like runs in from all directions. And I'm starting to doubt myself, literally thinking, is this just a cold? Am I missing something? Should I be looking out for symptoms? I never worried about a cold in the past. You just get a cold, you get on with it, get over it, and then you go, you know, might have to take a day off, or maybe you don't because you just feel well enough to still work. But with this particular cold, now I'm thinking about coughing. I'm going to have to cough as well. And I feel really bad about it too. I just suddenly thought, I've got to tell everybody every single detail about my cold just to make sure that people are okay with me having a cold. And I noticed that we're just suddenly, and then people start becoming suspicious. Why is she telling me all these symptoms? Does she know something she's not telling us? So I had to remind myself that we will all be getting colds this winter, probably. If you're not, then good for you, you're very lucky. We will probably get flu. Some of us might get worse things, some of us will get tummy bugs, some of us will get God knows what. And we just have to soldier on and march through it. Not everything is about the C word. So what I'm trying to say is, first of all, don't feel alone, because it can be really isolating. If you're not very well, you suddenly think, who gave this to me? Who am I going to pass this on? We all start feeling really guilty. And this is all the good people who feel like this. All the people who don't give a toss. They're still out there celebrating and they're all having a whale of a time. This is the people who have a conscience like you and me, where we're all worrying about who are we need to protect everybody, and that is exactly what the wolf does, because the wolf the wolf obviously looks, you know, it's one for all and all for one, so we need to remember that they are basically in this together. And I think it's really good also that we can ask for help. And so it's poignant for me to say that he who cannot howl will not find his pack. You need to ask for help. Don't soldier on and march on alone, because this is exactly what's happening at the moment, is that we're all being divided into these little segments, and sometimes some of us are totally alone, and then we're sort of all starting to judge each other. Should you be doing this? Who can I tell about this? You know, we don't want to start to be snitching. We don't want to be starting judging. We don't want to lose our common sense, and we all know ourselves well enough. Because I was thinking, well, if I've got that virus now, I would have had it all my life because it felt just like a cold. So wolves are fiercely loyal to their pack and often need to trust their own instincts. Trust your own instincts. We can all learn a thing or two from these magical creatures. They teach us to trust our minds and hearts and to have control over our lives. Wolves are the ultimate team players. They know that working together benefits the whole pack. Similarly, we must be prepared to work together for the greater good. The whole message is working together. Don't single yourself out. Don't be isolated. It's nobody's fault if you get ill, whatever the illness is. You just have to be able to ask for help, and people will be there to back you up. That's as much a message to myself as it is to you. And that's what I wanted to convey with this. So in any case, cutting all this short, here are the instructions for the wolf. As always, you get your templates, which I think we've had great feedback that they're very useful. And then it takes you through it step by step. So this makes one howling wolf with the moon as a background. And I'm going to go a little bit closer again so you can actually read this and see this with me. So step by step, they're usually sort of 8-page instructions. Sometimes they're a bit longer if the project is longer. And then you get, even at the very end, you get, we explain to you how to make the backdrop. Sorry, I do have to cough now. I'm going to take a sip of my water. Okay. And I'm just going to have a little look inside this pack. So you get all your wool in there. All of this will make your wolf. I'll look at that closer in a minute. And then you also have got some wire in there because the front legs of the wolf are wired. And then you get your free sample and then get your lovely pre-felt in this beautiful dark blue, which is perfect for a backdrop. And then you get a white piece, and from that you have to cut the shape of your moon. And the wool to make the silhouette of the tree is part of this pack here. It will all be explained really quite easily. So I'm going to move on now to show you some of the techniques for the wolf. Just put this to one side. I should also just say that this is our 50th live stream since lockdown early in March. So 50 live streams, as many live streams as I'm old. Now, one thing was exciting, the second thing felt really depressing. But in any case, must put that wire back as well. I'm going to show you next what is happening with the wolves. So first of all, you get beautiful lanolin rich in your pack, and you're going to make a shape that looks like that. Now, this time I've referenced in the instructions that your wolf will go from a dolphin to a shark to an albino toad, basically. That's the transition of what it will not look at all. It's like a bullet now, but it will become the wolf that you all want so very much, I promise you. Just stick with it, go from the beginning, start at the beginning. That's a really big message. Start at the beginning, don't look at the end, because just take baby steps, start at the beginning. We're there right by your side. And one of the few things that I share with you now will also help you. I'm using my slightly used earth mat here. I'm not going to even clean it, it's fine. Now there's my bullet, and all I want to show you now is how to attach the bottom jaw. So I have made, it's almost like an ear shape, which we explained to you how to do it. And even though I love this wool mat, it looks just like my wolf, so I'm going to not have that there now. And so you've got a felted bottom jaw here with wispy ends here. And all you're going to do now is you're attaching this to the base of that particular shape here. And it tells you in the instructions too that this part here, the top part, is felted down quite solidly, because there's lots going on the head of the wolf, and that needs adjusting. As an extra tip, when you needle felt, especially with this lanolin rich wool, it really sticks quickly together, but it's also really easy to still pull. If you've made it too short, just give it a little tuck and you can actually extend it a bit longer. And this is where the instructions come in really handy, because, as I said, you have got the template at the back, and the template this time is a little bit more complicated. Where's my wolf? There. Is a little, I don't want to say complicated, but it's a little bit more complex in that you have a template here which has got several lines on there, and you just need to read the little explanation here. So the blue line is the body and lower jaw shapes before sculpting. So this is basically, once you've attached it, that should basically be sort of like the blue line fitting in there. And then the red line is the final outline when all parts are attached, shaped and colored. And the green dotted lines are the area guides when coloring in. So the green lines is only when you add the body surface colors onto it. So all I'm doing now is I'm just attaching this bottom jaw, which looks not very secure at all once you've attached it, but I'm just literally stabbing it into just the lower part of that pointy bit, and it needs to be slightly shorter than the bottom one, because you don't want an overbite. You want it to be so that when you close it, it's slightly below the nose part. And you just stab that in. And then you are going to cover, because you don't want an open jar like this. That doesn't look very natural. You're going to use a little bit of that lanolin rich wool, and you're closing the mouth up a bit by laying wool onto the side. So you're covering that part up and felting it so it becomes a more natural looking open mouth, rather than just a bottom jaw that's been attached. We're not doing Punch and Judy here. If you find that this is too long, then you can always shorten it by going alongside it. It might just open it up a little bit, but you can also do the same from the other side. So I need to lay a little bit more wool over the top there to make that jaw more integral. So I'm literally just making the bottom jaw integral to the head, the remaining of the wolf. And that will become, it will just be a natural thing that you're doing, and you just keep stabbing it in, and the join will be covered up. And then obviously you have to do this on the other side as well. There. So it doesn't look quite so attached anymore as it does here. Still looks really open and literally just fastened on, which is exactly what's happened. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm using my medium needle for this because the lanolin ridge is quite a dense wool, notwithstanding that it has got that extra sort of sheep fat in there, which works best with a medium needle rather than using a coarse needle. And I'm stabbing this down and evening this out again, so that I now have got, this is what I'm saying, you end up with looking like a shark, yeah, it just looks not like a wolf at all. The magic of the transformation taking place is when you start adding the mixed color of the wool butts on top. So when you're basically adding the fur color on top. I haven't coughed all morning. It's just this continuous talking. Just having a sip of my peppermint tea for a change. Okay. So once you've done this, then you take some of the dyed black. So you get dyed black and natural stone lamb, which is a natural black. And the difference is that one, I don't know if the camera will pick this up very easily, but one, this is the dyed black. It's completely black, has got no other color fibers running through it. This one here has got sort of a gray fiber running through it. You might not pick that up in the camera shot here. And then you're going to color in the inside of the mouth. Now, what's really important, and the reason why I'm demoing this, is because you want it to be concave. You don't want it to be bulging. So that, you know, you want it to be, imagine the inside, like the gums there, it's a hollow denting inward rather than outward. So this is a good opportunity to really work on that jaw by making it firmer, and by stabbing into it. And you're doing this at the top and at the bottom. Now we'll just give a warning. Some of you might want to add some teeth into it. Feel free to do that. I tried that with my wolf. It is really hard to make it look like teeth. It just looks like an old wolf who's grown really long in the teeth and is about to die. So I didn't go for this option. I thought, let's keep it simple. And then you're just stabbing into the bottom part of the jaw, and you do really want this to be nice and black, because it's not that it's black naturally, it's just because it's so dark. And make sure that you have that inward bulge, so you can't really see that very well. So the mouth is a lot more wide open than it will be when the wolf is howling, but at the moment that's fine, because all we want to do is fill that area with black and make it really, really firm. We don't want to see any fluffy bits here, because the wolf obviously hasn't got a fluffy gum at all. It needs to be nice and neatly and felted down very solidly, so that you get that sort of concave shape. So you want it to be inward, yeah, like bulging inward rather than outward. And of course, like with anything, you will be felting all around. And this is the point where I think you always pointing out, it doesn't look anything like a wolf. No, it doesn't. Absolutely right. And that's just the transformations that you have to endure before you get to the finished project. And I show you on the pictures that I'm not making this up. This is basically the part where we're at now. And this is exactly what it looks like. So it is really not, it really doesn't look much like a wolf at all at the moment. And this is not in the order of how I'm doing this, but it's just another technique I want to show you. When you get to attaching the nose, you will be using the black again. And before you get to this, in the instructions, you'll be doing something else. But I just want to show you this while I've got my wolf here. Take some black, and then you just sculpt it onto the tip of the face as you're going along. Now, what you need to be mindful of is that this bit here, from here to here, you want it flat. You don't want the nose to form a bulge. So make sure that when you're felting this on, that the top of the nose is actually, the top of the jaw, the upper jaw, is in line with the nose. So you're literally folding, felting that nose on as you're going along. And what we've done is we have actually put a picture of a real wolf's nose into the instructions to give you an idea, just finding it now, what you're heading for. So it's here. There you are. That is the nose here, and so it's slightly tapered towards the mouth, but it's really flat at the top. So when you are felting your nose on, make sure that you've got it flat at the top, and then start tapering it towards the top lip. That's it. And the other thing that you will be doing, what I noticed now, is that my top part is actually getting smaller, so I'm going to felt the bottom jaw down a little bit again. This is one of the things that will happen when you needle felt your wolf, that you will find bits are shrinking that were just exactly the right shape, so you're going to have to adjust the shape around it just to get it back on track, which is also why in the instructions you can see that the finished shape is much different from when you first just have that white lanolin rich shape. As soon as you start adding features, it will become very different. Now, the nose will be easier to felt when you do it, because you've got more areas that give you a guide, because you will have already got the eyes in place and the ears. But I just thought I'd show you another little bit of a technique. So when you've got fluffy fibers and you're trying to get rid of them, you can actually sort of twizzle your, I just need to get some out again. You can actually twizzle them around your needle. Can you see how they are? Let me just see if I can get this a little bit more clearer. So if you've got wispy fibers like this and you can't stub them in, just twizzle them around your needle like that, and then stub them in. So you're almost getting hold of them on the tip of your needle and then stub them in. That is the technique that I wanted to show you. You will also be mixing wool to make, actually it's only a bottom lip. You're only adding a bottom lip, and to add the bottom lip, you're using the brown wool, and I'm just trying to find that now. Yeah, you're using the brown wool, which is this one here. That's our caracal merino, and then you're taking the dyed black as well. So the dyed black is for everything fine on the wolf. You're not starting to use the natural black until you're getting to the top coat. And to mix wool, just so that you remember how to do that, just hold it between your fingers and pull it. Keep the fibers running in the same direction, especially for the top coat of the wolf, because all you will be doing for the top coat is you will be working with that brown, the natural black, the grey, and the lanolin rich. These are the 4 colors that you will be mixing your top coat for the wolf, and I show you that in a minute as well. But this is how you mix the wool. And then for the bottom lip, so all of this is just to show you how you make that nose and the face. You felt this into the wolf's bottom jaw, just as a bottom lip, and you might have to add a bit more black into the jaw itself again, because as you're felting this down more solidly, you might find that the wool sinks into the white and it's actually leaving some white gaps. And that is what you're doing with the wolf and the jaws, top and bottom. If the fibers are coming out on the other side, don't worry, like they have done here. You can leave it, because they might have sort of a few wispy stray fibers on their chin anyway, or you can just cover it up again with white. And in my case here, I've got to put a little bit more black into the jaw, because I've actually felted it down so much that the white is exposed again. And that's basically all I wanted to show you for the mouth and the mouth and the nose, even though the nose is, I've done this in a different order in the instructions. And then the main thing is that you look at it and you find that the symmetry, so adjust the symmetry as you look at it from the front. I can see the nose is not at all symmetrical, so I'm trying to make the wolf symmetrical. That's one of the main challenges that you will have with this project, is to keep things symmetrical. But remember, even if it's not symmetrical now, don't worry too much about it. You have lots of time to give it the finishing touches as and when your wolf is covered in the top coat. And that is all I want to say about the head and the jaw here at the moment. So don't worry about the wolf looking like a dolphin. Don't worry about it looking like a shark. And at some point when the legs are touched, it looks like an albino toad. It's all gonna be fine. So the magic happens when you add the top coat. But before you do this, you're going to add the legs. And what I've done with the legs is, the front leg is actually wrapped around the wire that you get in your pack. And that gives it extra stability, but it also helps you to bend the paw in. The hind legs are slightly different. They're just needle felted and then felted into shape. But what I wanted to show you is, again, it's really important when you attach the legs are sitting on the side of the wolf. They're not, as you might think, coming out from the chest. So don't start attaching them here in the center of the chest. They're really, the wire needs to be jiggled in on the side so that it's just under the surface of the side, and it will look really, really quite strange as well. I don't know if you can see that even if I stand it up. I'm just pushing the wire, so I'm going right into the side, literally just under the I can feel it here, and that is where the wire needs to be inserted. And the wolf will sort of lean forward. You want the weight to be on the front paws, and then the hind paws will sort of come along here. And when the hind paws are on, the wolf is not even going to sit on his bum for a long time. It's almost like he's sort of if you look at him, I don't know if you can see it, but when you needle felting it in the process, the hind legs are, it's almost like he's just suspended on his legs, and the bottom is off the, if you achieve that, you get the right position. That's what I'm trying to say. So now coming as the final thing, I want to show you how magic this wolf, it's all in the top coat. That is when all the magic will happen. I was going to show you something else on the paws as well. It's the wrong order, but anyway, I'm going to do it anyway. So just very quickly, the paws, before you attach them, you build the bulk up on the front here like that, and then you needle felt into the front paw. Now remember, there is a wire in there, so the best would be if one of the toes is the wire. So try and work out where your wire is, so that you don't have to stab into the wire. And all you're doing is you're needle felting 3 straight lines into the paw like that, and you do this before you attach the paw to the wolf. And that is the same with the hind legs. You are going to do all of this before you attach the legs, so you're working really on a detail. It took me ages to do the paws on my wolf. And then you're going to go where you've needle felted the lines, you're going and felt around the paw, the toes even. And so you're making an indentation. And this is a part where you need to really needle felt your paw down really well. So we often felt really, really softly, but with this wolf, there are some very, very firm parts, because they take a lot off. So you can see that you've got 2 shorter paws and 2 that are sort of almost parallel. And then what you can do is, this is optional. I'm just going to move this so you can see this better. So you can see I've needle felted these indentations, and then you use some fine scissors, whether you can use the tip of the scissors depending on how sharp they are. These ones aren't. And I'm just cutting into these areas where the toes are. If you feel really worried about this, then don't do this. But this will just, because it's fine if you don't even do that, but this will separate the toes even more. And now you can bring back your felting mat and work a little bit more on these toes, so that these cat fibers don't look so cat anymore. They have softer edges. And once you've done this and worked on just reshaping the toes, it's just the lanolin ridge wool is absolutely perfect for this because it's already a sticky wool. So, and I'm going to show you now how to make one claw. You use your black wool. This is still the detail wool, so the natural black with a slightly grey fibre running through it is only for the top coat of the wolf. And for the claws, you use your fingers, and if you've got slightly sticky fingers, perfect. But if you've got our beeswax palm, then use just put a little bit in your hands, and you can see I'm twizzling this bit of black, and keep folding it in half until I've got sort of the size of a rice grain there. And now I'm fastening this onto the wolf from underneath the paw, so I don't want it to sit on top of the toe. I want it to be fastened on underneath, and then when you turn it round, it will just poke out like a little claw here, and you can still shape that. A little bit of black might come through, which again is fine unless it bothers you, then just cover it with white. Once the wolf is needle felted together, I mean, they don't have pure white paws anyway, so I'm just going to show you my wolf here. You can see that a bit of the black has come through, and that's absolutely fine. And I think they look really lovely when they've got really big paws, so really broad paws. This will shrink down a little bit once you attach all the claws, but that's basically how you're going to make the claws on the paws, and how you attach the legs. Right, so the only other thing I will tell you about the wolf is the magic mix of this of these 4 colors. It really took me by surprise, even though I've worked with this wool for years and years and years, probably over 10 years, just how the mix suddenly turns into a complete wolf pelt that I hadn't expected. And I'll show you this a little bit overhead again. So you've got your this is the stone lamb, the natural black with it's a little bit coarser than the dyed black, and it's got sort of grey long fibres running in through it, which you can't see in the camera very well. This is our Gotland Island, a natural grey. That's how the sheep walks around the sheep, looking like looking like that. This is our Caracol Merino, so it has got half merino and half Caracol. It's a natural colour as well. And then you've got your lanolin rich. These are the 4 colours that you work all the time in mixing into these amazing so authentic. This becomes so authentic, and then you're just playing with making it a little bit darker by using more black, or making it grayer by using a bit more grey, or browner by making it a bit more brown. But these are the 4 colors that you're constantly mixing, and we tell you exactly how to do that in the instructions, but I'll just give you a little flavor of how these could. I'm just using those 3 now. Once you start mixing them, and please make sure that you are mixing this so that you have the fibers running the same way. So don't crisscross them, just have them, lay them on top of each other and mix them. And already when you're doing this, you might think, oh, I actually want a bit more of this color or the other color in there. I haven't added the white now. And then when you're laying it onto the wolf, and I'll show you on this one here, lay it on so that it goes in the direction of how you imagine the fur to grow. So it's not this way, you know, it is so it's like you stroke a dog. That's the direction of how you want the fur to go. Of course, when you're doing the top of the legs, then it is a different direction, because that's how the fur runs down here. But can you see just these 3 colors? Can you see what an amazing, it's identical, and you can't go wrong with this. This is the amazing thing about it. You really cannot go wrong with it. Whatever the wolf looks like before you add the colors on, as soon as you add the colors on, it's like a magic transformation. So hold out for that. Don't be disheartened. It will happen, I promise you. And that's the wolf. And then obviously you get your background, and that's just needle felting onto the background. We have given you sort of, if you want to use a different silhouette of anything sitting in the tree, but we have given you just some basic shapes of an owl and of a raven. And yeah, I just think wolves and ravens are very magical, and they even work together in nature. So the ravens call the wolves to help them open up and hide of a dead animal, and then they both have a meal together. So if your imagination doesn't run too wild, then you can see the beauty in this cooperation. And that is all I've got to say about the wolf. I think, yes. And remember, 2 full moons in October, so watch out for them and maybe find a nice spot to take a photo of your wolf against the real moon. But if not, you've got one as a backup. And that is all I have to say about the Maker's Box. But now I'm moving on to the Fairy Box. But before I'm moving to the Fairy Box, I did mention that our Father Christmas kit is ready to go out now. And it's a big kit. It's bigger than any of our normal kits. And it comes with, it's quite a tall Father Christmas. So he's not a small figure. It comes with all the ingredients to make the Hessian sack as well, and you can stuff it with lots of juicy presents, but it's actually wool. And obviously you get everything to make the Father Christmas in the box, including the tools. So it's one of those amazing kits that you might just want to have a go at, and it becomes an heirloom for all the future Christmases. And in my house we actually celebrate St. Nicholas on the 6th of December, and if you're watching from anywhere abroad, I know that in the Netherlands your Christmas is also even bigger, centered around St. Nicholas, or what do we say? Nikolaus, that's it. In German we just say Nikolaus. We've dropped the Santa. Maybe he's not a saint anymore. And of course you might have all kinds of different stories why you need a Father Christmas. He's hiding now. I've made him embarrassed. But he's a really lovely project to work with. So the only other thing I will say, I don't know if you've seen my little friends down there. We're talking about, and we have been talking about, one for all for one. We need to work together. We need to be inclusive, get people on board, help each other out. And we're helping out one of our favorite event organizers, the ICHF, which holds the creative craft shows all around the country. We go to lots and lots of their shows, but of course this year we haven't. And they've tried their utmost to get the autumn shows up and running, and completely understandable they had to cancel them. But we want to support them, and that's why we have jumped straight away in there and have said, tell us what we can do. And we're going to run a snowman workshop. Now the snowman, I have to say, I really tried my hardest to get it into a free tutorial before Christmas, but we just ran out of space. I love the snowmen. They are just the funniest things that you can make. And they all have different facial expressions. You can make them look happy. Usually I make them happy, I don't make them look sad. And they become such beautiful little characters. And you can make one of these with me. It's a private Facebook workshop, so you have to pay for this. It's only £8. The full, all of the ticket price stays with the ICHF. That's what we've decided to do, because we want to support these guys. They need all the support we can give them, because we do want to go to shows in the future again to meet you face to face, and this is our little bit of helping them to achieve that. So book onto this now, because you don't have much time. It's the 6th of October at 7 p.m. You have to be on Facebook to do this, and you can get it's really easy. You just need a bit of white, a bit of black, and a bit of colorful wool, hopefully for the carrot nose and for the hat. It's so simple. Make sure you have wool bats. If it all fails, if you get onto the internet now and order a snowman kit from us, then you have everything in there that you need to make 2 of them. So that's still a possibility, but most people have got a bit of white and a bit of colorful wool sitting around. So think of it as making a contribution to the bigger good, like the wolves do as well. So that's one other thing I needed to say. Let's move on to the Poppy Fairy. Now this is a bit of a dare, because we've decided let's go with a face. Now some of you have already said to us, oh, I'm not going to make a face. That's fine, you don't need to make a face. I'm just going to move these little chaps out of the way because it's getting a little bit crowded here. You don't have to make a face. You can stick with your beautiful poppy where everybody imagines what face they have got. But let's have a look first of all what's inside the Poppy subscription box. Remember, with a Poppy, with the fairy boxes, they work as a subscription box, and you can also buy them as a one-off, which is different to any of our other subscription boxes, because we're it's almost like a little collection with the fairies. You can get your collection going even by buying the fairies from the past, or if you don't want to commit to a subscription, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, because we don't tie you into a contract with any of our subscriptions, as you probably know. You can cancel anytime, and better still, if you run out of time, space, or mojo, or whatever goes on in your life, you can skip boxes as well, so you can put your subscription on hold for several months, or maybe just 1 month. You can change the payment date as well, so if you want to be in there first of the month, or if you can't afford until the 15th of the month to get that money going out of your account, then you can change the payment date as well. And with the fairy boxes, of course, we're also always putting a newsletter in there. And again, as I said before, our subscription boxes have become more like a personal message than just a random project. And of course, Poppy time is coming up in November for the obvious reasons with the Remembrance Day. But I thought there are also lots of other interesting sides to the Poppy. And did you know they come in 70 different varieties and different colors, of course: red, orange, yellow, white, pink, and purple. And they're one of the oldest flowers, because they've been around they've been found in old Egyptian burial sites as well. So personally, I always loved the name Poppy, whether it's for a human creature or for a legged creature. So the Poppy, normally with our instructions, what you do is you get your needle felt instructions. This is whenever you get a one-off fairy kit, or if you get your first subscription, you get the actual Poppy fairy instructions, which always start almost sort of midway through the instructions. And what you need is your basic shape for angel, fairies, and figures, which you get in your first box, or if you get a one-off fairy box. Now this is what you need to keep if you're a subscriber and you get your second, third, fourth, and so on box, because this is what you will always refer to with any of your instructions, but we only put it in the first box. And with this particular Poppy fairy, the order is slightly different from if you're already a subscriber. It is slightly different because we want you to read through the Poppy fairy instructions first, even though this is not what you normally do, is before you go to the basic shape for angels and fairies and figures instructions. And the reason being is that to give her a face, we actually have to use a different wool to make the basic shape of the head. And normally we use a wool top, but on this occasion we're using the Australian merino. Now you know that you can get the bleached white merino, Australian merino, but as a subscriber you can make use of your special sub box discount code. We're using the normal, the non-bleached, but you can also use the bleach. So if you want to make more fairies, and I tell you a little trick, which you will also see in the instructions, of how you rosy in the cheeks and so on. So what you get this time is you get your medium needle felting needle, which you always get in every fairy box. You only need one needle. There's actually very little needle felting involved. You get your pipe cleaners, which you get 2. And then you have your lovely wools, these beautiful hand-dyed curls, which are a shorter variety of Teeswater. You get this beautiful merino silk wool top that is the main dress of the fairy. Her undercoat, that's the face and the head color and the arms. And then this is the wool that you need to put underneath the head. And then you get 2 poppies in there as well. I don't want to open this up. This looks just so nicely nice and wrapped. But the poppies basically are these sort of fabric silk flowers, and you can do several things with them, which I can explain to you as well. So let's put the this one out of the way for now. I will keep the instructions here because I might refer to them. And it always comes, the Poppy, the fairy boxes come in a large letter box. So with this one, you don't even need to be at home to receive it. We just stick it, well, we don't, but the postman sticks it through the letterbox. And let's have a look of how we do the head differently than we did before. So you've got your pipe cleaner here, and now instead of using the pink wool top, or it's not just been pink, it's also been all kinds of different skin tones. instead of using the wool top, you're actually using the wool bat. So you need to tease it out a little bit. With the Poppy Fairy, because you're also using some for the hands and arms, just split a little bit off and put that to one side. And then you're going to do your usual lollipop technique. First of all, the moustache. So you're trapping your wool into the top of the pipe cleaner. Give that a twist to make it nice and secure. You really don't want the pipe cleaner to pull out. And there's my moustache here now. And then you're doing what you normally do is in that you're wrapping the wool, the slightly creamier wool that you get in there, around the base. That's exactly what you normally do, but on the top you normally have the moustache bit is normally the wool tops rather than the wool bat. And you wrap this around to make a nice round shape. So keep wrapping it flat like a ribbon, and once you got a good amount there, then you start felting this down. You don't need a felting mat for this. In fact, I don't even know why I've got this one here. This is much better. You can see this much better now. And you just stab into the base first to firm the shape up, but you also want to make sure it's nice and round. And then the next step is also unusual. It tells you all in the instructions. This is why you need to read the Poppy instructions first rather than the basic instructions. And what you're going to do next is you're going to needle felt. This is optional, you don't have to do this, but you can give your fairy a little nose. For this you have to make sure that the head is nicely and firmly felted down. Could do it with a little bit more. And you're making another separate little ball that you roll up between your fingers. And then you're going to put this, and this can be even slightly out of proportion in terms of what do you think, oh, the fairy's going to have an almighty big nose. Don't worry so much about it, just felt it onto the head. My head's very soft when you do this, because I don't want to spend so much time on this. When you do this, make sure that your head is nice and firm. You felt this nose on in the center of that ball that you've needle felted, like that. And then you need your, you can push the wool up. You need to have one of the moustache ends, so it comes over that side of the face and the other one that side of the face. But now this is also different from what you've done before. Instead of just leaving it split in half and you pull it over, you're now separating it into a thinner layer first. You need enough to cover the face, but you don't want all the bulk because you also need it to show off your nose. So if you have less of this going across, then you get a very distinct shape here. Can you see that? And then the rest of it you just put down the back. So this is slightly different from what you normally do. And then you just tie your extra strong thread as before. Sorry, I just need to grab some. Come on, sorry, it's hiding. Then you use your extra strong thread and you tie this around the head. Now at this point, if you think, my goodness, this fairy is going to have an almighty conker, then you can still undo this and you can felt the nose down a little bit more. So you can actually use just that step before you tie the base of the fairy's head. You can just get an idea of what the nose looks like. If the nose doesn't show at all, then just make that little ball bigger. And all I'm doing is I'm just stabbing into the nose itself and into the head. And you shouldn't need a felting mat for this. If you're a first time fairy buyer and fairy box buyer and needle felter, you should be able to do this without a mat. So this is sort of slightly shrunk the nose down now. Now you really want to make sure that that nose doesn't come out. So if at any point you're in doubt, then just take a little bit more of that remaining wool and put it over the face. So there's a bit of a balancing going on here. Now if you don't want to give the fairy a face at all, then you just continue like you normally do with the wool and just put half over the front and half over the back. Now you're committed that this is the front of the fairy, and you just need to make sure that the head looks nice and smooth, and then tie the base up as you normally do, and then put an extra knot on the top, and then just cut that string off. There we are. So now you've made your fairy with the nose. Now we don't want to do too much felting on the face here, because this is the thing about making faces. You really don't want to do lots of stabbing unless you've got a super fine needle. We just need to make do with what we've got. I can feel the nose here, I can even see it. It's hard to pick up in the camera. What you're doing next is you're going to give the fairy eyes. Now you will get a wisp of black in your fairy box, so you can use that to make. And so what is really important is that less is more when you're doing faces, because you can really mess this up quite easily, especially when you're trying to make a young looking face. Just use a tiny bit of black and make a tiny eye, and just go with that for now. And then you do this on the other side as well. Make sure that the eyes, if the further apart the eyes are, the cuter a look you will get. And the nose is just here. And then you use a tiny bit of that red for the dress of the fairy. Just tear off a tiny bit and make a tiny mouth. Really try and be very minimalistic with this. That way I can guarantee you get a cuter looking fairy than as if you are going with really big facial features. And the way that we've made the fairy's face look less like a ghost is by using makeup. And if you haven't got makeup, just use a little bit of your if you have a red crayon or anything like that. You might even have a little bit of eyebrow powder, eyeshadow. This is where you can go and have a little play now. And then you just use your brush. Use this one. Make sure you have a clean brush. Don't use one that's, oh, this one's not so good. So there. And then you can give your fairy a nice bit of makeup. Now, when you put powder onto it, just make sure you don't completely destroy the actual layer of the wool. And also you might find that you need to blow some of this powder off. So if you're doing this with other people around, make sure that you don't blow at them, because well, it's very antisocial, I guess, but even more at the moment. So give it a little blow, and in that way you can give your fairy quite a cute face. Now it will look a little bit weird until you start adding the hair, and you might just want to felt it down a little bit more. If you have to make the face a little bit tighter, do this on the base or on the top. Try not to stab into the face, because it's just going to leave it with pock marks or an impression of pock marks. You can also add little eyebrows. You have to be very delicate with this. So you could just add a little bit of a hint of an eyebrows on the top of the fairy's eyes there. And that is the way how you can make a little face. Now it will probably well, I don't want to use that word, but it might freak you out a little bit. But as soon as you start adding little hair to it, that little face that might not look so attractive right now will look really cute. If it looks cute now but not very girl-like, then it will look cute once you start adding the curls. And I will show you how to do this as well. But before I do this, I just want to show you that this is a little face that I've made, which is featured in the Making Simple Needle Felts. And I brought a copy. There's a copy somewhere here. Ah, yeah, here. And I think if you want to be more elaborate on how to make faces, then it explains it to you here. With this particular poppy kit, you don't have the right tools to do this because you don't have an extra fine needle. But if you do want to get into making faces for fairies, there's lots of stuff about people in this book, then do get the book and have a look through it. I'm just going to go small so you can, while I'm flicking through it, you might as well join me in seeing what there actually is. Just trying to get to the fairy head page. It's all angels and rose fairy and sprites. There we are. There is a step by step of how you get your fairy, using makeup here as well, is how to give your fairy more of a feature featured face. And there is, oh, maybe it's here. No, I don't know where that face is gone now, that finished face. Ah, no, that's the one I just showed you. Oh, that's really weird. Must be a finished version of it. Anyway, the finished version is here. And so you can make fairy faces, but with a poppy fairy, just stick with a very basic version of it, and it will look cute if you don't step into the face too much, and if you just add really, really delicate features to it. So less is more, yet again, in needle felting. And we've been asked, oh, I just want to show you this as well. So this is how your fairy, if you don't make a face, might look at some point. And you have, this time, you use the full length of the pipe cleaner to make a stand. And the stand, the way that you make the fairy is that you tuck the wool inside that stand, like that. And then you even stuff a little bit more green inside, if you've got it, to and that will give a really solid little stand. But I wanted to show you how to add hair to a fairy's head, and I'm going to go smaller for this again because we've been asked about that a lot, and especially hair if it's curly. So what's happened with people is, first of all, you've got curls, and they might first of all, I've said this loads of times, don't pull curls. If you know you want this bit of curl, then just use your scissors and cut you can sort of see where they begin and where they end, but don't pull them, because all you do is you're just going to cut the curl loose. So I often fold the curl in half, because that's often long enough to go onto a fairy's head. I often just frame the face first, and with a poppy fairy you're actually going to give her quite a nice fringe, which you put on last. But when you're needle felting curls into onto a figure, what can happen is, if you've got a tightly wispy curl here, and you use a relatively fine needle, I'm just trying to find a really fine needle, you might just sort of not, they might just not attach, and it looks like, oh, they just come off again. So the way to stop this is by broadening out this tight curl into more of a cover, because nobody's going to see it once it's attached on the head, and then you felt it down. So that way you have a far greater chance of catching the fibers on a greater surface, and therefore they will attach a lot easier. Now, if that still isn't working, I can tell with this fine needle it's really hard, then go to a larger needle, so a coarser needle, and so that the fibers are really gripped and fastened straight into the head, and that way they literally stay on there, and the fairy, you can hold her up by her hair and it's fine. And that is how you attach the curls, and then work your way around the head. Make sure that the nice bits that you want to hang off are hanging off however you want them to hang off, and then frame the face first. So you work your way around the fairy. I'm going to cut these again because I don't want to pull them apart. You want the tight curly bits at the bottom of the curl, but at the top you want it to be more frizzy, so that you can attach them easier. So that's why I often fold my curls in half and felt them on, because you've got a larger surface or a larger area that you can felt onto the fairy. And once you've done framed the face at the front like that, on this particular poppy fairy we're giving her a nice curly fringe, and again you need to pick the right curls for that, so you can lay them on to get an idea of what, and don't be afraid to just cut the bits off you don't want. Just make them fit for your purpose. I'm teasing them out a bit, and I'm literally just covering, I'm putting this now on top of the head. Sorry, you can't see the face there. Putting this on top of the head. I'm not worried at all what everything else looks like at the moment. I'm just focusing that the face is nicely covered, and then you've got with this one you get a nice little fringe going into the face as well. So this is how I would do the fairy, and at some point she looks horrible from the back, but that's fine because you're going to work your way around it, and that's how you attach the curls. And as a very, 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 very last note, I'm just going to show you those little poppies that you get in the pack. They have this one, actually I've taken it off. They've got a plasticky back thing that I've taken off, but they have got, it's a hollow little stem, and this works really well if you've got a little bit of pipe cleaner left over from your fairy, because the arms, you don't need a whole long pipe cleaner. It does actually fit into that stem of the flower like that, and you probably will have left a little bit of green. If not, just make sure you just put a tiny bit to one side. Just gonna grab a bit here, and then all you're going to do is wrap the poppy stem like you wrap the arms of the fairy with that wool, and then you can make a fairy, you can make a poppy that's on a stem like that, instead of it just being the actual flower. I think it looks nice either way. Just trying to find one here. So you can have both. You could have a poppy. You could have both poppies on in that way, and have them hold them in her arms, or you can have the poppy as a hair decoration. Whichever way you want to do it, you get two of these, and you can, obviously you have got a little bit of pipe cleaner left over to do something else with it. And then if all fails, remember we have got a poppy tutorial to make a poppy flower, which even better, you can make it all from wool, and you can make the size you want, and you can make as many as you like with water soluble paper. And that is a YouTube tutorial, which if you just type in the Makers Poppy tutorial, it should just come up. That was one that Sophie did. And as a very, 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 very final point, I will just say that on Tuesday next week, which is our make along, we will be making one of these. So you can join us making a winter tomte with arms and legs, and if you feel that way inclined, you can also turn it into a little cheeky Father Christmas that is sitting down. He's a lot smaller than the Father Christmas that we are now offering in a kit, and I think he's a lot more he's probably more like mischievous, that one. He often gets caught by having his hand up his nose. So if you want to make one of these or these, then do join us. It's a free tutorial on Tuesday, that's the 6th of October. That's the same day that you can make the snowman, but for this one you have to buy a ticket on the ICHF website, and no doubt Emma will have been writing comments like crazy, but because you might be watching this without the comments, you might probably have missed it already anyway. But we'll just have a very quick look at the comments, because I've not given them much attention because there was so much to get through with the boxes. So, oh dear, I've no idea what you're all talking about, but I just want to catch maybe one sentence. Helen has got to leave now. Thankfully, you for lots of hints. Oh, thank you. Well, you're very welcome. If you have any questions, remember we're there to help you. We've got a Facebook group called Everyone a Maker. Come and join it. We are there to give you lots of advice, support, encouragement, love, hugs, and all the rest of it. So do come and join us there. And I'm going to say bye-bye now, because I've definitely overrun my hour. So stay safe, look out for each other, use your common sense, don't get caught up in all the scaremongering that's going on, and be responsible. That's all really. Just be yourself. We all love you very much, and thank you very much for your support. Bye bye for now. Bye.